What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages? Joker back again once again, and today, people, it's been a while since we've done a This Week at Bungie video. Then again, it's been a while since Bungie's put out a TWAB worth doing a video on. I, like everybody, am still waiting for that State of the Game write-up, but hey, details. So in this week's This Week at Bungie, we get to play my favorite game, the game of buffs and nerfs. So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, a drink, maybe put your feet up, as we go over the latest and greatest strategies to get yeeted and deleted, or be perplexed, as Bungie doubles down on bad ideas instead of yeeting and deleting those. And of course, be amazed as clearly broken things get even more broken or are just entirely overlooked. Starting off with Tune Those Weapons. First up, we want to talk a little bit about the mid-season weapon preview. Today we are talking about a few changes coming to our weapons, exotics, and airborne effectiveness as well. We may have some opportunities in the near future to answer more questions, so we do ask that you continue to keep us updated on your thoughts and ideas over on socials and in the forums. So without further ado, here's the Senior Design Lead, Chris Proctor. Good day, Chris Proctor here. We spent a lot of playtest time in Season 18 and decided to bring some of the changes into an earlier release. Oh, you know they know it's bad. PvE is dry as fuck, outside of the weekly story missions, which, And PvP is a categorical clusterfuck, I mean more so than normal. I honestly didn't think PvP could get worse than when Stasis was first released. Turns out, the bottom could fall out. And here we are. Proctor goes on to state, we expect these changes to shift the PvP meta a little for the month or so before Season 18 launches, and we have another set of changes coming then, smaller of course, since we moved some of them to Solstice buffs. Airborne effectiveness. So we'll get to what's buffed and what's nerfed in a moment, but I want to talk about doubling down on a bad system. Airborne effectiveness is a bad system, and it's probably a system that Bungie is going to dig their heels into the ground on and fuck with over the next year, before it hopefully silently just goes away. See, here's the big issue with airborne effectiveness. It is a system designed from the ground up to punish good players. And from a design standpoint, creating a system that is grossly obtuse for the sole purpose of punishing good players and taking away their movement options isn't a system that should exist, let alone waste developer time. You shouldn't punish players because they have the magical ability to do something like, I don't know, jump, aim, and shoot. This goes back to a joke I made a few videos ago about how Bungie wants you to play like a bot.
With 10 titans like you, I could build all 7 columns and shake the pillars.
I still can't believe somebody got their knickers in a knack over that. But I digress. Why does this system exist? If it was just for the sake of nerfing hunters, then why not nerf stompies? No, this was done purely to remove what little skill gap people may argue at one time existed in Destiny, which is just kind of an aggravating state of affairs, but it is what it is. But back to the game of buffing and nerfing things. So, how does Bungie plan on making airborne effectiveness less shit? Well, they've improved the baseline airborne accuracy and aim assist for all primary weapons, added static airborne effectiveness buffs to some existing perks, raised the base AE stat on several exotic weapons, tuned up some underperforming primary weapon subfamilies in PvP, increased pellet shotgun damage in PvE, increased ammo per special brick for glaives, Forerunner, and Ariana's Vow in PvP. Linear fusion rifles no longer receive increased flinch in PvE, will still receive increased flinch in PvP. And what are they nerfing? Tuned down some overperforming exotics in PvP, airborne effectiveness, AE on primary weapons. We were cautious about making weapons too easy to use while airborne at Season 17 launch, preferring to take some time to evaluate and then buff accordingly rather than having to nerf. Hey, remember in games like, I don't know, Halo, when you could jump and shoot your weapon without any penalty and it was called a skill? Remember that? Remember how that was part of strafing? Who needs any of that nonsense in video games? Sorry, I digress. Back to the post. We have seen this play out in the game for several weeks now, and we are confident that we can safely, significantly, decrease airborne accuracy and aim assist penalties on primary weapons. Reduced airborne penalties for all primary weapons. These changes are roughly equivalent to increasing the base AE stat for primary weapons by 15 at low stat values. Reduce airborne accuracy penalty at low AE by 20% to 40% depending on weapon type. Hand cannons and sidearms reduced by 20%. Bows reduced by 30%. Reduced airborne aim assist penalties for the above weapon types, and change the stat scale to provide more benefit for each point. Reduced airborne auto-aim, bullet bending, M&K, and controller penalty by 20%. Reduced airborne magnetism, reticle stickiness, controller only, penalty by 40%. Some perks now give static AE stat buffs in addition to their other effects. Air Assault plus 10 AE at all times, in addition to plus 60 for 70 AE total when at low health. Extended mag plus 10 AE, steady rounds plus 7 AE, raise the base AE stat of several exotic weapons, list in the exotic section below. So I've already laid my cards on the table when it comes to in-air effectiveness. I think it's a dumb stat, I think it's a dumb mechanic, I think Bungie could have achieved this same thing by nerfing Stompies. That said, my fantasy land where this in-air accuracy thing doesn't exist, so given the current situation, what do I think? As we can see, Bungie is toning down the severity of in-air accuracy. It's my hope that this trend continues until in-air accuracy is a thing of the past. However, on paper, all of these changes look good. That is the caveat here, on paper, look good. We won't know until we know. In-air accuracy, when it was first explained, kinda sounded cool, but then it released kinda sorta poorly thought out. But I've said all this before, so moving forward. In this update, some neglected weapon archetypes are given some much needed love. Weapon archetypes. Hand cannons. Precision 180 RPM hand cannons have languished for quite a while, and we took some time to soften their time to kill in PvP. In playtesting, we find that this makes them a lot more competitive, particularly with their innate plus 25 bonus to AE. Increased body shot damage from 37 to 40, crit moves from 57 to 60. Can now kill in 2 crits, 2 body shots against Guardians. Kills in 1.33 seconds in body shots. Now, I could be mistaken because, well, I don't know every gun and every perk combination in the game off the top of my head, but I believe there are still some 180s left in the sandbox. Not that it matters because Trials of Osiris is the only place where light level matters, but, you know. I do believe that there are 180s that have not been sunset with kill clip or multi-kill clip that can reach that fabled Luna's Howl Not Forgotten 0.33, 0.36 time to kill, or near enough not to matter. And now they're buffing 180s? Also, I could see 180s with explosive rounds being a menace in PvP. I'm not sure if there are any, but I remember Trust back in the day had explosive rounds, and it was pretty cool. In before Trust is on sunset. Auto rifles. Precision 450 RPM auto rifles have fallen behind other auto rifle families, partly because they were more reliant on hitting higher proportions of crits to reach their optimal time to kill. Increased body shot damage from 19 to 20, precision multiplier moves from 1.6 to 1.5. Crit damage stays the same at 30. Hey, that sounds great if you like auto rifles. Me, personally, I don't care for them, but if you like them, good for you. It looks like scout rifles will be receiving some much needed love as well. Scout rifles. While we don't want scout rifles to be too effective, we generally don't want long-range weapons to compete with short-range weapons for ease of use or time to kill. There's some room to make scout rifles a little better in PvP and add some primary weapon competition to snipers at longer ranges. So we've adjusted 2 of the scout rifle subfamilies, precision and high impact. Precision, 180 RPM. Increased body shot damage from 34 to 38. Crit moves from increased body shot damage from 34 to 38. Crit moves from 54.4 to 60.8. Can 2 crit 2 body against 197 HP, health plus shields, or lower. Kills in 1.33 seconds in body shots against 190 HP, or lower. 1.67 seconds against higher resiliences. High impact, 150 RPM. Increased body damage from 38.2 to 42. Crit moves from 66.9 to 73.5. This means your scout rifles like Jade Rabbit or Polaris Lance can 2 crit 1 body against 189 HP or lower. Kills in 1.6 seconds in body shots. Now, scout rifles have always been underappreciated in PvP. I mean, why engage with your targets when you can set across the map, picking people off at a distance, right? And I'm sure for scout rifle lovers, it kinda sucks that that's the state of the game. However, if scouts were ever made meta, it would slow the game down, which I don't think is a good thing. Shotguns, oh shotguns. Shotguns. Pellet shotguns felt like they could use some love in PvE. Increase pellet shotgun PvE damage bonus from 10% to 25%. Nice. Now, this is cool because I have come to absolutely, positively adore the Without Remorse shotgun. It has this perk that makes things blow up when they die, and my little monkey titan brain just goes, ooh, fire. Linear fusion rifles. The flinch increase on linear fusion rifles was fairly effective, but since it was global, it hurt their usability in PvE. We made a change that applies this increased flinch to damage coming only from players instead. Yeah, so linear fusion rifles I still think, especially in the primary slot, are a problem in PvP. They were a mistake, they never should have been made. However, punishing linear fusion rifles in PvE doesn't make sense. So it's good to see Bungie walk that back in PvE. Glaives. When scavenger mods were disabled in PvP, glaives were no longer able to get enough ammo for a kill with a single brick. We've corrected this issue. Increased ammo per special brick from 1 to 2 in PvP. Hot take, glaives are like one buff or 1 or 2 perk combinations away from being super meta. And lastly, general buffs. Damage scales on trace rifles, Killing Tally, Agger's Scepter, Ariana's Vow, and Fighting Lion were not functioning as intended. The fix for this will restore that functionality for most weapons, but an update to Fighting Lion will come later, currently planned for Season 18 launch. Note, this issue may have also affected other weapons and perks. Now come the exotics. Lawrence Driver is still oppressive to play against. No, you don't say. No shit, Sherlock. Did you figure that out on your own, or did your mother help you? And we wanted to address this more thoroughly. Reduced aim assist stat from 32 to 22. Reduced suction against players. Remove the universal 2x flinch nerf from previous changes since we've changed flinch for all linear fusion rifles. See above. This change also applies to Arbalist. I've already said it once this video, I have no problem saying it again. Primary linear fusion rifles were a mistake. Gallahorn is much too dominant as a heavy weapon choice in PvP and Gambit, due to proximity detonation making it very easy to use, and Wolfpack rounds finishing Guardians who should be far enough away to be safe. No clue why they're tacking PvP onto that. I hardly ever see it in PvP. I would have liked to see some stats on that, but who knows. That being said, I do have to imagine it's really oppressive in Gambit, but Gambit sucks, so I mean, okay. But I digress, so what did they do to Gallahorn? Primary rocket no longer has proximity detonation. Wolfpack rounds now deal half damage to players. Let this serve as yet another lesson in the chapter that is, the good Bungie giveth, and the good Bungie taketh away. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of upset people over this change because, well, they spent $30 to get Gallahorn, and then it got nerfed. If you're spending money to get anything in Destiny, be it a new weapon, or, like Stasis, it's not a matter of if it will get nerfed, it's a matter of when. That being said, don't lose heart. I was reading around on Twitter and apparently, maybe, I don't know if it's true, proximity detonation nerfs the rocket's impact damage, so this could actually be a buff for Gallahorn in PvE. The Last Word has reached a usage level on controllers where it warrants some adjustment. With this change, it'll be a little harder to land crits while hip firing. And it'll be less deadly at extended ranges. Reduced hipfire precision aim angle by 50%. Precision aim angle dictates how far off the head you can be aimed and still have aim assist grant you a crit hit instead of a body shot. Reduced damage and aim assist fall off by 3 meters. I always feel bad for Last Word because yes, sure, it's a spam cannon. Yes, it's kinda brainless, but it's an exotic. And yeah, sure, Last Word's good, but sidearms tend to be better. I'm looking at you, Drang. Speaking of sidearms, Forerunner was getting 3 ammo per special brick in PvP. Technically, enough for a kill. But this was unforgiving. We bumped it up a little. At the same time, it was getting full ammo from a single special brick in PvE, which gave it extremely high uptime. Increased ammo per special brick from 3 to 4 in PvP. Reduced ammo per special brick from max to 16 in PvE. Ariana's Vow was getting 1 ammo per special brick in PvP, not enough for a kill. Increased ammo per special brick from 1 to 2 in PvP. We're evaluating the Airborne effectiveness stat on exotic weapons, keeping in mind they can equip the Icarus Grip mod, and decided to bump several to be more competitive. Suros Regime went from 23 to 31, Whisper of the Worm went from 9 to 20, Monte Carlo from 21 to 29, Forerunner from 22 to 27. Was somebody in PvP, PvE using Whisper of the Worm to do like 360 no-scope granny ladder shots while airborne? Cool. All in all, I think the sandbox is still a mess. These changes are a little more than a band-aid on a bullet wound, but we also don't have the full sandbox in the game, as Arc 3.0 isn't out yet. On top of that, these changes were meant to be released in Season 18, alongside a slew of other changes, so we literally do not have the full sandbox in the game. So we really can't judge it at this time. But I do hope by the end of Season 18, PvP has its shit sorted. It just sucks we have to wait that long. As for these changes in and of themselves, I didn't see anything really egregious. Most of them look fine. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Remember to like, but only if you did. Subscribe for more. Feel free to donate to my Patreon if you're feeling particularly generous. And above all else, stay frosty.